Although I just uploaded a video yesterday about Black Mask being gay in Birds of Prey, and you can go ahead and watch that because I give my thoughts on it, and I know it was days old news, but I just got to it yesterday. I wake up this morning and I see this article and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, because if this is true, I'm going to be so upset, because this is how they destroy these movies. Because news came out this morning, and now I don't know if it's true or not. It could be fake. It could just be rumors. But news came out that the WB, Warner Brothers executives, are upset or not pleased with Birds of Prey, and like they have good taste anyways, because they don't. And now it's sounding like that this might be another Justice League. And now what I mean by that is that doesn't mean that it's going to be as bad as Justice League, but how they're going to mess with it, how the WB executives are going to mess with it. That's what I mean, or that's what this article is going to mean by Justice League, because this article is by We Got This Covered by a Mr. Matt Joseph, and I'll go ahead and read this article because this was posted at the time of me recording this, was 15 hours ago, so still kind of recent news. So it reads, though many will always know him as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor is now attached to another popular franchise over in the DCEU. The 48-year-old actor is playing Black Mask in the upcoming villain-filled flick, Birds of Prey, and then, yeah, you know the rest of the title. I don't feel like reading it. And apparently he's an absolute highlight in the film that's said to be full of them, which I'm happy to hear that if that's true. Though the movie won't hit theaters until next year, test screenings have been overwhelmingly positive so far, although you can't really trust them, with people praising McGregor's performance, the gritty and violent tone of the pick, and its steps towards more LGBTQ representation on screen. But while audiences have walked away mostly impressed, it seems the studio isn't terribly happy with Birds of Prey at the moment. Reports are surfacing that say Warner Brothers execs aren't pleased with the current cut of the film, and now the worry seems to be that they may get involved and put their hands all over it, resulting in another Justice League situation, which is to say they'll completely butcher what's currently a solid movie. That being said, it's important to note that Margot Robbie is heavily involved in Birds of Prey. Aside from just starring in it, she's also a producer, and given WB has big plans for her Harley Quinn in the DCEU, she may be able to keep them away from the project or not. Who knows at this stage? Please, Margot, if you can keep them away, you are a true hero. As we said, Warner Brothers has a history meddling with their filmmakers' visions and not letting them do what they want. So it's easy to see why fans are beginning to worry. Still, Robbie's a pretty big star, and again, she's very invested in Birds of Prey. Whether she'll be enough to keep the studio from getting involved remains to be seen, but let's just hope they've learned their lesson from Justice League. And I really hope that's true also, because hearing that news really upsets me. Please, Margot, if you can keep these WB executives, these dumb people, away from your movie, you will be a true hero. I know you're portraying a villain / anti-hero, but you will actually be a true hero if you do this, because as that article stated, WB has an act for meddling with the movies and not letting the directors do what they want to do, especially with the DCEU movies, as we all know these past couple years. The biggest instances of that happening is, by far, the clearest one is, as we pointed out, is Justice League. That is by far one of the biggest things these WB executives have done fucked up. Okay, I'm sorry to drop the F-bomb, but they completely ruined that movie, okay? I mean, Zack Snyder's not perfect, but like I feel like his version would have been a lot better, okay? And that's why, I mean, if you haven't seen the news about all these people wanting the Snyder Cut, then you're clearly living under a rock, because they've been preaching this for years. Whether we'll get it or not, nobody knows, but the WB executives, essentially what happened was, I think they didn't like how long the movie was, the Justice League movie, and they didn't like the tone of it, if I remember right. So then Zack Snyder left, whether it was for the personal reasons or if they fired him, I don't remember, because there's a bunch of different reasons and conspiracy theories behind it. They brought in Joss Whedon, and then they did a bunch of reshoots and to basically make it into like a comedy, and they're trying to make it have the Avengers feel, because you know they're trying to keep up with the competition. And I don't like that, because it's like, first of all, you need to go at your own pace, and they are rushing it way too hard. And two, be different. Yes, we know that MCU is a huge success, but that doesn't mean you have to copy them to be successful. Just do your own thing. I just don't get it. And I kind of hope there is going to be a Snyder Cut, but I honestly don't think there's going to be. We can preach it all we want, but I don't think it's going to happen. That's the biggest one. The other example is Suicide Squad. Now, obviously, we know that that movie was probably one of the biggest disappointments in recent years, maybe in the last decade. But that was also because of WB executives, because they did not like the tone of the movie. They were fine with the length of it and stuff like that, but they didn't like the tone of the movie because they felt like it needed more comedy. And I'm like, WTF, it's the Suicide Squad. It can have comedy, but it's going to be like dark humor and stuff like that. It's not going to be a comedic movie. And for them trying to make it more of a comedy upset me, because if you know David Ayer and if you've seen most of his movies, Suicide Squad is not his movie. I know he first came out and said that, yeah, the one that was released in theaters was his movie, but then he came out, months to a year later saying, oh, wait, no, it's not my movie. So, because if you just look at the first Comic-Con trailer for Suicide Squad and then you look at the marketing towards the end, there's a complete difference, okay? So don't get me wrong. I like all the colorful stuff and music and all that because, it gets your attention. But you could just tell that they completely changed their tone with the movie. So, but I suppose I should get back on track with this movie. Now, do we know if it's good or not? Of course not. Most of us have not seen it, okay? We have heard from test screenings, and as I pointed out earlier, you can't always trust those. There's been movies like all the time in these past couple of years that they, like, take Suicide Squad, for example, because if I remember right, that had amazing test screenings, but then the movie actually came out and then you know what happened. So take these test screenings with a grain of salt, because although they say it's great, it might not always be true, and I really hope these WB executives stay away from this movie if they know what's good for them. And I hope this movie doesn't end up being good. And Black Mask is amazing like they're saying he's going to be. So, of course, what do you think about this news about WB executives being upset with this movie and how this could potentially end up being another Justice League where the WB executives are just going to completely butcher this movie if it does end up being good? So let me know in the comments below what you think. And, of course, as always, I'd love to see you all next time.
If only